Support for this podcast comes from the law firm of Davis Malm. Whether you're a developer, property owner, manager, or commercial tenant, their real estate attorneys know the lay of the land, not just the law. Learn more at davismalm.com.
WBUR Podcast, Boston.
I'm Daryl C. Murphy, and you're listening to The Common. Candice Springer.
I'm back.
It's that time.
Woohoo!
To talk about things to do.
Yes, indeed.
And this time we're talking about things to do for the month of May.
It's May. We made it.
We made it.
Mm-hmm.
And what may we talk about today?
Well, I think we need to tell everybody a little story.
Okay.
You and I went on a field trip.
We did.
Where did we go?
We went to Citizens Bank Opera House.
Yes.
To see My Fair Lady.
Yes. And what did you think? Because it was your first musical ever.
Yes.
Oh, my God. I was so honored to be in this room with Daryl watching his first musical.
I could think of few people better to have this experience with.
Oh, that's so nice.
Candice.
That's so nice. Thank you.
You know
How did you feel?
Listen, overall, good experience.
I'm glad to hear it. And there was one moment in particular where we were in the second act and we were hearing Get Me to the Church on Time. And at the end of that song, Daryl just started clapping and said, "This is outstanding." And I said, I got to fuel that fire.
Yo,
This
I'm hooked.
cannot be the last.
I'm hooked.
So therefore, all of our recommendations today are more musicals. More musicals for you and more musicals for the people.
Okay.
So you ready for the first one?
Yes.
All right. It's a show called Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice.
Exactly. And it's happening from May 2nd to May 14th at the Citizens Bank Opera House. It's a strictly limited 2-week engagement for the show, which has been beloved since it hit Broadway back in 2019. And it is based on Tim Burton's beloved film about a very old demon who is a chaos agent, a
Love 'em.
gothic teenager who is dealing with the death of her mom and having to move, and a small town couple who, unexpectedly dies and then loses their home but wants it back. That's the setup. But what you really need to know is that this musical is a feast for your eyes. It is a full spectacle of light, of scenic design, of sound. This is going to blow you away.
They really want to put you in that underworld.
Yes, that's
in
spooky,
the world of Beetlejuice.
creepy, like eerie, irreverent, funny, hilarious underworld. And yeah, it's just highly, highly entertaining. Beetlejuice serves as your narrator in this show. He's kind of, breaking the fourth wall on everything as it goes along. And you're just being driven along on this really crazy, kooky ride.
I love it. I love it. So that's Beetlejuice, Citizens Bank Opera House, May 2nd to
May
the
14th.
14th.
Exactly.
Okay, so you have time.
You do have time, but don't, wait too long, because this did win the Drama Desk Award and the Outers Critics Circle Award for the scenic design. I'm telling you, it is a spectacle. People are going to go to this. It was nominated for 8 Tony Awards. This is a truly beloved show and really fun, and you're going to want to get your tickets now.
So it's already running, folks, so make sure you get your tickets.
Get your tickets.
All right, bet. So we got that one locked in. What's the next one?
So the next one is also a family teens musical that is being put on by Speakeasy Stage Company, and it's called The Prom.
Okay.
Now, this one opens today, actually, on May 5th.
And it looks pretty funny. I read the summary.
Yeah, it's a comedy, and it's also based on a true story, believe it or not.
Oh, really?
So it is based on a true story of a teenage lesbian who just wanted to take her girlfriend to the prom.
Yep.
And I think this originally happened in 2010 in Mississippi. And, the community around her really did not want her to bring her girlfriend to the prom. And it ended up getting to the point where the law had to get involved, right? I mean, it was just really one of those moments where, a teen was being treated as other in a community that didn't understand her.
Mm-hmm.
And so this musical is inspired by that true story and tells the story of Emma, who lives in the Midwest in Indiana, and she has a secret girlfriend. And when petitioning the school to go to prom, they don't want to allow her. But there's a twist. This story gets discovered by 4 Broadway has-beens who literally just got a terrible review. And because they're so self-centered, they decide to drop into Indiana and mess some stuff up to try and create awareness for this teenager and allow her to get to prom. That's where the comedy ensues, right? It's really a beautifully done musical that is about the power of love and how, you know, if we just take a step back and we realize that we're all human and we all have shared interests, like we let down a lot of those prejudices immediately that have been like maybe holding us at bay from understanding.
Like a commentary on protests. Movements and how they get co-opted and stuff.
100%. And it's also really relevant to what's going on now, you know, in our world where we're still dealing with these sort of levels of misunderstanding, whether it's trans kids or, you know, anything that involves like the LGBTQIA community. Like, you know, I think it's a really timely piece. So it's selling really well. So I definitely recommend trying to get your tickets now before you don't have a chance to.
Get them tickets.
Get the tickets.
All right. So that's Prom from Speakeasy.
Speakeasy Stage Company. It's going to be at the Calderwood Pavilion in the South End.
We're going to take a quick break, but we'll be right back with more from Candice.
Politics has never been stranger or more online, which is why the politics team at Wired is making a new show, Wired Politics Lab. It's all about how to navigate the endless stream of news and information and what to look out for. Each week on the show, we'll dig into far-right platforms, AI chatbots, influencer campaigns, and so much more. Wired Politics Lab launches Thursday, April 11th. Follow the show wherever you get your podcasts.
And we are back. All right.
All right.
That's 2.
One more.
One more.
All right. Now we're bringing on the drama.
Bring it.
Bringing on the drama, and we're bringing on history.
Don't cry for me, Argentina.
That's it. So if you recognize that rendition at all, you'll know that Daryl is singing the most popular song in Evita, which is a classic musical that was written by Andrew Lloyd Webber and Tim Rice. It's a rock opera that follows the historic figure Eva Perón, who was the first lady of Argentina, and it charts her rise from childhood poverty to becoming the first lady and her untimely death at the age of 33 from cancer.
She was very polarizing.
Very polarizing, absolutely. And what's interesting about this new revival that is being put on at the American Repertory Theater in Cambridge starting on May 17th is it's directed by a woman, Sammy Canold, and she used the blueprint of this musical to do the revival, but was really sort of adamant about rediscovering this history for herself. So she took her team over to Argentina. They talked to tons of people who sort of lived during this time when Eva Perón, you know, was rising to power. And for her, as a storyteller, she said in her 2019 TEDx talk that it's very important to her that she tells these stories of historic figures the right way.
I feel so fortunate to work in an art form in which I must always ask one more question, even when I think I have asked more than enough. When history is offering us answers, who are we to refuse them?
There's a responsibility to make sure that there's nuance, right? You know, one of the things about Evita is that it's been told through a male gaze very often. And so with Sammy in the helm, you're going to see this musical in a bit of a new light, more of a feminine perspective that I think is going to maybe not justify some of the actions, but make you realize how complicated this person was. And, this show had a really successful staged concert in 2019. It's now at the ART being workshopped into what is probably going to become a Broadway musical in New York. So now's your chance to go and see it before it hits New York, and then everybody wants to see it, the whole world.
I saw that back when it was in Boston,
exactly.
Just getting its start.
That's right.
Y'all late.
That's right. Before it wins a Tony, maybe. So this is your chance.
All right. So that's Evita at the American Repertory Theater in Cambridge.
Exactly. From May 17th to July 16th. Long run.
Okay. And now, Candice.
Yes, indeed.
May we bring it on home?
We may.
Assistant Director of CitySpace. What's going on?
So I think what I would like to highlight today is we are bringing back bands and local artists to CitySpace.
Yes.
Got to have some more live music in our lives. So our first show is actually going to be with Lee Zangari, who is WBUR's pick for their favorite Tiny Desk, NPR's Tiny Desk contest entrant. So Lee entered the contest but didn't win. That was Elisa Amador, who we also had at CitySpace. But Lee sort of captured the hearts of our arts and culture team through their song A Man is a Man, where they play a dulcimer, which is, I can't quite describe this instrument. It's kind of a plucky instrument, if I may. Very sort of soothing tones and vibes, gives you kind of that folk feel. And so we're turning this performance into a little bit of like a mini folk festival. So Lee is going to be our headliner, and they'll also be joined by Pratik Prodar and Eleanor Electra to create a little bit of a festival at CitySpace. We've never done this before. We usually just feature the one artist, but we're turning it into a whole night. So if you need to sort of like, after a long week of work, come out and just like decompress from everything that you've been dealing with, come to CitySpace on May 12th at 7 p.m. for an amazing show. I swear to you, you will walk out feeling lighter after you hear all three of these artists.
Boom. What else?
So I know that you have had conversations about what happened with Barbara Lynch, the chef here in Boston. And, you mentioned in a recent episode that CitySpace is going to be doing an event about this, where we talk about it more from a national lens. Like, toxic restaurant culture is real. And it's happening. And not only do we want to have a conversation of these examples that have been well documented at this point, but we also want to talk about what are the solutions? What can be done in restaurants to help turn the tide of what's happening right now?
Word.
And that's on May 16th at 6:30.
Who's going to be Who's going to be there?
So we're going to have Janelle Nanos, who wrote the Boston Globe piece about Barbara Lynch. We're also going to have a woman named Hannah Selinger, who actually wrote a really, really interesting piece about Chef David Chang, head of Momofuku, that whole brand, really big celebrity chef. And she sort of documented how he treated her when she worked for him. And then we're also going to talk to a woman named Hassel Aviles, who works at an organization called Not 9 to 5, where they focus on mental health and restaurant culture.
Word up. Well, Candice.
Yes.
As always, what a pleasure.
I love coming here. Are you coming to these musicals with me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Let's do it. Let's do it. That's Assistant Director for WBUR CitySpace, Candice Springer. And that's our show for today. Thank you so much for listening to The Common. If you have any thoughts on this episode, please give us a shout on Instagram at WBUR The Common. You can also send us an email at thecommon@wbur.org. And now, it's that time for me to let you know that The Common is produced by Caitlin Harrop and Franny Monahan. It's mixed by Emily Jankowski, Matt Reed, and Paul Vaitkus. And it's edited by Ben Brock Johnson. And from the newsroom of WBUR, I'm your host, Daryl C. Murphy. I'll talk to you soon.